Welcome to Locked In with the Wilsons.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Lavisha. If you're new to our channel, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back.
So do us a favor, make sure you like this video, leave us a comment, and share this video out with your friends. But most of all, subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. So in this video today, we want to bring you 7 things that we wish we would have known more about, done more research, or understood more before buying an RV. So we're not going to belabor the point. We'll just jump right into it. Number 7, depreciation value.
So with all things, with cars and vehicles in general, I think we all know that once you take them off the lot, your value already goes down.
Yep. So one thing that you can do on this is make sure that you consider your new vehicle versus possibly a used vehicle. One thing about driving a car versus driving an RV is you're looking at the vehicle driving 1, maybe 2 trips, as opposed to a car being on the highway every single day. So that's something to keep in consideration when you're looking at used RVs. And you could probably get an RV that's 1, 2, maybe 3 years old. Doesn't mean that it's been used extensively. It could have been used for 1 trip per year. Or like someone that I met, they said that they bought an RV from someone that was actually a wish list during COVID. And they sold the RV for little or nothing because they realized they didn't want it after they got it in their possession and got it out of their spirit that they were RVing. Another thing that we want to talk about on here is the use of your RV may make a difference when you look at the cost of buying an RV. So say, for instance, you're using this RV every single chance you get off from work, or if you're retired, or if you're part-time, can remotely work. This may be something where you say the value of what I'm going to get out of it is more than the value that I'm going to spend on it. So you may not regret buying a new RV.
Now, another thing to consider when you're talking about depreciation value and how that factors in with you, one piece of advice that people gave us when we went to our very first Hershey RV show, and this was advice from people that actually had been RVing for a while. So you may want to talk to people, see what they say or what they think. But one thing they told us, and I didn't understand it at the time, but now I know that we are on our second RV. They told us, go ahead and make your first purchase the second RV that you think you would want, because you're going to compromise a little bit on the first things if you just go in looking at things, but think about the long term, how you plan on using it. And you may want to go ahead and buy that next one that you think you might upgrade to. Go ahead and make that your first purchase.
Yeah, so that was something I didn't understand when she told me buy your second RV now. It was like, you want me to buy 2 RVs? So if you're like me and may have not caught on to that, what you think you may want for that upgrade, go ahead and get it now.
Get it out of the way. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Number 6, space and storage. So this is interesting. On here, one thing, and we had this kind of low on this list at number 6 because we knew you're talking about less than an apartment as far as the square footage on an RV in a lot of cases. So you're not going to be in a house. You're not going to have all the same amenities and space as a house. So that's why we had this at number 6. But we did want to include this on here for someone that may be in the process of buying, for something that you can consider or something you should consider when you're purchasing an RV. The other thing that we said is consider the climate that you're camping in. If you're in a very temperate area, you may not have to put the RV up. You may be able to use this RV all year round or 3 seasons out of the year. But also, whether you're a full-time camper, part-time camper, weekend camper, or if you're going to take extended trips. Explain the extended trips.
Well, the thing that we want to say about, space and storage, when you say consider your space and storage and the climate that you're in and how often you use it, that will factor into how much space and storage you'll actually need when you're camping. So if you are in a cold weather climate and you're camping with more gear, more equipment that you may use, that may factor into how much space you'll use when you are out camping. And as far as, if you're camping full-time or part-time or a weekender, consider the trips that you may take. Even though you may be a part-time camper or a weekend camper, there may be trips that you may take quite often that may extend for a period of time, maybe a week or two. So you may need to take more items with you. So keep that in mind when you're looking at your space and storage when you're utilizing your RV.
Yep. So the other thing I wanted to put into this was utilize the outdoors if you need more room. If you look at our videos, you'll see me outside at the campfire, outside at the outdoor kitchen, outside just outdoors, period. Not that I need more space, but it does give you kind of an extension on the square footage for your RV. If you don't have 3-4 people inside the RV at the same time, you kind of you talk about dispersing the weight, you kind of disperse the people in the RV, and you're still within proximity to do the things you need to do around there. The other thing, consider an outdoor kitchen. That was one of the things we thought about when we bought our RV. Having a TV, your fridge out there, if you want to put your beverages out there and watch the game. If you want to get out there, just cook, sit at the campfire, like I said. If you can put a hammock up on this space that you're in. And for some people, if you just want to travel with a lot of people in the vehicle, consider if you've got people that are amenable to tent camping, because some of the spots have pads that's big enough for you to have a tent out there.
Yeah. I think with a lot of our state parks here in Virginia, you do get that extra space.
While we're talking about space, just want to consider your pass-through storage on the vehicle. When we bought our fifth wheel, the pass-through storage on there was huge. On our travel trailer, if you saw our old videos or our other videos, we had to take the tops off of boxes, slide them in, then put the top on the box when it was inside. So not only did that work, but it allows us to get electric bikes in the vehicle, a fire ring. What else can we put in there?
You mean in the new RV? Yeah. Okay, yeah. We pretty much can get everything we need in there, and we actually have 2 electric bikes stored in there, so we've got a lot of space in the new RV. But one thing that we didn't mention in the travel trailer that we had was the others, because that pass-through storage space was so small, we actually ended up using the back of the truck a lot, and then we also had space in the bunk room under the bed where we had to allocate our space, the use of our space really well. We had to maneuver things quite well to not go over our weight.
That bunk room is something we'll talk about later on. We talk about actual weight while you're traveling. The other thing is for storage in an RV is you want to utilize every possible consideration they made when they built the RV. So you want to look under your bed for storage, your closets for storage, under the dinette for storage, the pantry for storage. You also have to look at simple things like above the TV, below the TV. Those are places that you can store things when you're traveling in an RV. So right now we want you to leave us a question and let us know if you're an RVer, if storage played a consideration in your purchasing decision, and that particular type of RV that you purchased, whether it completely discouraged you from your RV, if kids or other people traveling with you were part of your decision. I know we had a lot of people told us they bought their first RV because they knew they get their kids, their grandkids, and other people to travel with them. And they decided after purchasing that RV, they were able to downsize or whatnot because they found their perfect spot for just the 2 of them to camp.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. All right. And so the next thing on our list is going to be
Number 5.
Number 5. The storage. Where will you store your RV? Those are things that we, had to take into consideration as well. Now, you may want to, look into, do you have an HO? Do you live in a neighborhood that has an HOA? Can you store your RV at your home, or do you have land that you can store it at, or what are the other considerations that you think people should take in?
That's pretty much it. Your neighborhood, subdivision, acreage on your property, if your driveway is long enough, if you're on a straight street and not in a cul-de-sac, whether there's an HOA. So I'm thinking that's just about all of them that she covered.
Your distance. If you do have to store your RV at a storage facility, I would suggest look around at different types of storage facilities because they do have, different amenities at those, like where we originally started storing our RV, they offered all of the services. You also had, what was it? What else did they do there? It was a gated storage facility. So you did have to have a passcode to get in and out. It was not covered. So you want to look at things like that. Depending on where you live, you may want to look at what type of storage facility because you may want to be somewhere where you have covered storage or things like that. Also, look into if you have military affiliation. You may want to look into see if you are near a military base. That will definitely factor into where if you can store your RV there.
Yep.
Anything you want to add to that?
No, that's it.
Okay.
All right, number 4, winterization. So we're moving up into the things that we really wish we would have known more about when we started RVing. This one is interesting because when you purchase your RV, 9 times out of 10, it will be winterized. And you have to break it in when you do your shakedown to make sure you're not winterized. So running the water through all the tanks, pipes, everything on the RV. The one thing about our RV winterization, if you do it at the end of seasons where the weather is changing, may have those cold days, and you may have a week worth of cold days, but then it gets up to a week of 70s or whatnot, and you want to go camping, you do have to winterize again when you get ready to hit those cold days. So you have to think about that when you're winterizing your RV. The other thing about winterizing your RV is you have to consider whether you're going to self-service your RV for winterization or pay to do it. First time we did it, as she mentioned, there was storage at that facility, and we actually paid them to winterize the RV.
Yeah.
Afterwards, started looking more and more and more at videos, realizing what went into it. We did the RV winterization on that travel trailer and the fifth wheel in probably 45 minutes the same day. So definitely saved us a lot of money, saved us time in trying to get the RV to an appointment, going through traffic and whatnot to do a winterization. The only good thing about that first RV storage that we had, we didn't even have to go pick it up. They had the key to the RV, the second key at the storage facility. So they took the RV, brought it in, did the winterization, took it right back to the lot, to the storage space. The other thing about winterization on an RV is different models have different winterization processes. So we found out on our travel trailer, you had to go in and unscrew things to try and find the water tank. On the fifth wheel, the water tank was accessible from the outside, so you actually didn't have to take a screwdriver in there and do anything. Just hook up the hose, drain the pipes, and then go through the process of winterization. And that may have taken 10 minutes at the most. The problem with our RV, the fifth wheel, is the way the water drains out of the RV. So learn how to do that. When we thought we were headed towards winterization, go ahead and drain it as we put it in the lot and start to unpack and get it ready to bring stuff home before that trip is over. All right, number 3, delicate features on the RV. So Lavisha was confused about this when I said delicate features.
It's like, what do you mean delicate features?
This one, water tanks, pipes, simple things that you don't think about when you're in a house versus an RV. When you think about a house, when you're down 20s, maybe 30 degrees for prolonged periods of time, they tell you to open the cabinets and probably leave a faucet dripping. But in an RV, you have to go in and winterize it. I talked to one of my buddies and I asked him, I said, well, it's only going to get down to 30 one day. Then it's supposed to be in the 40s for the low. He said it took one day for them to burst their pipes in their RV at 30 degrees. He was thinking they'd be good after just one day if it wasn't a week long, but they went to go and get an RV and the pipes burst. So you also have to consider the downtime for servicing on your RV. This is one of the key things that Lavisha talked about when I was asking the value of having a Class C, Class A, other things like that versus 2 separate vehicles, the travel trailer or the trailer and the truck to tow it. If you're down on your RV, your chances are you're down on your transportation for that. So that's one good thing to keep in mind when you're talking about two different types of vehicles. The other thing, your tire size and your tire rating. We can drive 80, some places 90, people trying to get different places. Not saying you do it, but you have to keep that in consideration when you're towing an RV. That tire size and rating, it is 9 times out of 10 from what I've seen, not rated to travel over 70 miles an hour. So just because you can go fast doesn't mean you should go fast. I've heard some horror stories from people trying to go fast. Another thing that we had on there.
Your the refrigerator, how it opens or how it's stored when you're when you're traveling. Is it going to stay closed? We had an incident. I don't think we ever had this incident in the travel trailer, but in the fifth wheel, we actually have the side by side doors, and the refrigerator side flew open, eggs splattered everywhere while we were en route during the holidays headed to Florida.
Yeah.
So and so one thing that we still haven't found yet, but we're looking for is a way to make sure that we can secure that side of the door, because the freezer side is secure by the island
we found a quick solution to it was to take Velcro and run it through there and strap it so that it doesn't come out.
Yeah.
You run the Velcro through both sides of the doors, close the doors, and then pull the Velcro and secure it right there. So we did find one solution. We had another solution, which was with the slides closed. We were able to put the trash can, lay the trash can down, and it kept the door from opening. But you always want to make sure you pack everything heaviest at the bottom. So that you don't have things coming out. You have to consider buying plastic cups. You don't want to travel with glass in an RV for it bumping around on the road, depending on where you travel to.
Just pretty much everything. You don't want a lot of glass in an RV.
Yep.
Yeah.
The other thing is you learn how to do small repairs. We've had a seal on a slide to come out. We had a window valance and shade to come down once. Those were simple repairs, but when you think about the time that you would take it to an RV spot after getting the appointment set up, and they've got your RV, what if that's the peak time that you want to travel? Do you want to not be able to travel for something you could have done on your own? So the delicate features on an RV, you want to consider all of those things, because when you're driving up and down the road, that RV is bouncing and everything in there is moving, swaying from side to side. And just because it's inside that vehicle, you open that door, you might be surprised at what you find.
Yeah, that's true. And so that takes us on to number 2 on our list, which is the setup. Thinking about your setup time, what's your protocol? What are you your checklist, if you're going to have a checklist? So I'll let Brian go into more detail about the setup.
I put this in my notes. Allocate the perfect amount of time and the proper amount of time to get to your destination. My biggest pet peeve that I've had from RVing is getting to a site at dusk or dark because you're trying to work throughout the day, then get home. Even if you've packed everything up, think you've got everything set up and ready to roll, you don't know what traffic's going to be. And especially once time changes in the winter, it's 4 or 5 o'clock. So even if you take a half day off with a 2-hour route to get to your destination, it could be dusk. So once you go through the check-in process, drive through the small towns or whatever to get to the state parks or your KOAs or your resorts or whatnot, it could be dusk or dark. So you're trying to set up, hook up water pipes or your tank hoses. One, just get into the spot and you don't have the appropriate sunlight. The other thing that we want to bring out, not all sites are created equally. So you got gravel sites, concrete pads, pull-throughs, back-end sites, wraparound sites. You have to keep all those in consideration when you're doing your RV.
And one thing that we recently figured out, and we've heard people say this term a lot, but I don't know when we actually figured it out or what made us notice it. The difference between a back end sights, a blind side back end, and a driver side back end.
Go
Yeah,
into
so
more detail on that.
knowing that difference makes a huge difference when you're trying to help someone back into, or when the driver is just backing into them site by themselves. Period. If they're by themselves, so the blind side back end is when the site is. Help me get it right. Don't let me be wrong.
I'm
So
depending on you for this.
if the driver is unable to see if it's a back end site and the driver is unable to see the left side where he's backing in his driver's side, then that is a blind side back end.
Is that blind side? Because that's driver's side, you can see.
No, you can't see the person that's helping you to back. Like if I'm standing behind and you're backing in, you can't see me, so that's your blind side.
Okay.
So you're completely depending on the person navigating you back into that site.
Okay.
Now, let's just say this site is going at this angle, and you're pulling in, you pull in this way, and you're able to bag in. You can see your driver's side, so you can bag in. I think that's right. If we're wrong, correct us in the comments below.
Another thing, which we didn't put in our notes, make sure that you always can see the mirrors of the person that's driving, that you can see that person in the mirrors. My trusty companion likes to stand behind the vehicle, and I'm like, hey, I cannot see you.
That is why I say that's a blind side, because you can't see me in the mirror, nor can you see that side. That's blind side back
either
in.
side. You can't walk behind the vehicle. You have to move so that you can always see the vehicle. So the mirrors.
Tell us in the comments. Is that what a blind side back in is?
No, that's backing in 101. You have to be visible in the mirrors so the driver can see you. So you walk out to the side. If the truck's turning, you have to walk away that way. You have to walk away this way, because you have to always be visible to the driver. It doesn't benefit the driver if you're doing all this work and they can't see you. The other thing that we've learned on that, use your phones to talk to each other while you're backing in. Just in case you can't see, you can tell somebody to stand out to the side so they can see you. Move back. How much space do I have? What's my approximate distance from the setup, from the utility box, the tanks? Also, how much space I have left after the trailer. So all those things you can bring up while you're on the phone.
Communication. Make sure you know you're communicating well, and listen to each other. Trust the person that's telling you you're backing up what your instructions are.
The other thing.
Remember the video? Check the video that we found that out.
The other thing I will tell you on this is practice backing up before you get to the campsite. In your storage area, in an empty parking lot, practice, because you need to know when someone says, cut the wheel to the left or to the driver's side, cut the wheel to the right or to the passenger side. For one, know the difference in those two terms. When they say driver's side, passenger side, left side, right side, know what they mean when they're saying, and you guys have the same terminology you're using. But also, there's a huge difference when you're talking about backing in a trailer. When you say turn the wheels, are you talking about, or turn to the left, are you talking about the direction you want the truck to turn versus the direction you want the trailer to go? So you need to know those things and practice them before you get out to your site. So that goes into what she was saying, make sure you communicate.
Yeah. All
right. Number one, towing capacity and weight. The only thing I will say about this is it is beyond confusing. Just because you have a 2500 or 3500 doesn't mean you can tow it. That's what we learned as we were getting our RV. People said, "Oh, you got a Ram. You can tow anything up to a certain amount." When you start, and I advise you to go to the car lot and look at the different models of the same vehicle, and that was a 1500. And they said, "Oh, so you were prepped?" I said, "No, it was just my truck that I liked when I bought it." So, well, you lucked up and bought the Ram. The towing capacity on it is heavier than the Fords and the Chevys for the same 1500. I didn't know anything about that at the time when I purchased the truck. But like I said, go to the dealership, look at all the different vehicles, and look at that panel in the door, and look at the towing capacity on that truck, the curb weight, the towing capacity, all those different things are on those stickers. So you'll see that you could be looking at two identical looking 2500s on the lot, and their towing capacity could be completely different. Set by the setup, the package, all those different things.
Well, and another thing on that is that it wasn't as for our travel trailer. It wasn't the weight. The travel trailer was way underweight, but it was the length of the travel trailer that we purchased. And when we pulled off that lot, we did not feel comfortable with the truck pulling that travel trailer, and it was because the length of our travel trailer was longer than what we anticipated.
Okay. So the other thing that we have on the towing and weight, know how to pack for weight distribution. We mentioned this earlier when we talked about the travel trailer and the bunk room in the back of the trailer with the storage up under there. You want to make sure you have your weight evenly distributed while you're traveling in your trailer. There are plenty of videos out there on this, and like I said, it will confuse you if you never ventured to look into this. So do your research on your particular truck, the trailer that you're looking at. The other thing which we didn't talk about on here is there are certain places that certain RVs can't go because of the length disparity between RVs. You may see all these spots open when you're looking for a place to camp, and then find out that they're all for vehicles under a certain length, or certain parks won't allow vehicles over a certain length into that particular park.
So the next thing is our bonus. We know we said we had 7, but we actually have a bonus, and this is something that we ran into on
every trip.
But it stood out the most on our last long trip during the holidays is travel time. Factoring in additional time for travel. And that is really depending on a couple of things. Number one, the time of the year that you're traveling. If it is during the holiday season and everyone is on the road, you may want to add in some additional time for travel, because that was our thing that happened to us during the holidays. If it's a summertime and everyone's on the road, it just depends on the time of year that you're traveling. You want to add additional time in to get to your destination and factor that in.
The other thing, if you're in Northern Virginia area like us, Thursdays are terrible. Fridays are unbearable. So you can go in the same stretch of road. It could take you 20 minutes to go. Yeah. On a Friday where everyone's trying to go south for the weekend, to the amusement parks, to different places, to the beach. Yeah. That same 20-minute traffic could take an hour and a half to go that same stretch. Yeah. The other thing we wanted to talk about on here is you want to allot 30 minutes to an hour each time you stop. The beauty of having an RV is you can run back and open the door, grab sodas out the refrigerator, grab without purchasing stuff. But that takes time to do that. Also, depending on where you fill up your vehicle, your fuel spot. In our case, I like to use the truck stops, because I am a member of the Open Roads program, and I'll bring you a video on the Open Roads program later on, which will help you guys if you're a diesel pusher like me. But sometimes you hit it just right where you can pull straight into the fuel station. Other times you may be behind 2 or 3 trucks. And the reason I do that is because of the substantial savings of using the Open Roads card. So you want to make sure you consider all those things, but I will say give yourself 30 minutes to an hour for each stop. Anything else on stopping and the travel time?
I think that's it. I think that's all I have as far as that time, that add that additional time, because it's where you're traveling in a car and you may go somewhere that may take you 4 hours. When you're towing a trailer or RV, that may take you 6 hours.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind, because you're not going to be driving as fast as you would in a vehicle. So that is going to slow you down in those stops. And you just have a lot of more that you have to consider when you're traveling with an RV or yeah. So that's
And
it.
the other thing that you want to consider with an RV is the fact that you may run into a situation with your height that you may have to take alternate routes around cities because of the low overpasses. So you have to keep that in mind when you're factoring your times for your trips. So again, that's our 7 things that we wish we knew more about, did more research, or just did a little bit more understanding. A lot of this stuff you can find on YouTube. So please make sure you get out and watch YouTube videos. The other thing that we suggest is, if you're interested in an RV, if you're interested in upgrading an RV, consider renting an RV first, buying used once you decide to buy it, if you don't want to spend the money of a new RV. Also, if you're out RVing, talk to someone that has the same exact RV that you're considering buying, or the same type that you're considering buying, because we've had people walk in and look at our RV. Shout outs to Gemini on tour. They looked in our RV because they were considering buying a fifth wheel, and we did a tour of the RV while we were at Savannah Lakes
for the Bandit Bash.
The Bandit Bash, and they came back 3 months later and told us they had gotten their fifth wheel.
Yeah.
And I don't think people with RVs are very bad. It's a very sharing community as far as talking about the likes, dislikes, features, whatnot that they have in their RV. So talk to people with an RV, but again, watch those YouTube videos. Now, before we get out of here, do us a favor. If you're not subscribed to this video, make sure you subscribe to it. Like this video if we brought you content. Leave us comments on information that you thought was valuable, something we could have kept out, because we want to bring videos to you that are worth your time in investing and watching us. And lastly, share the video out to your friends and family and other people that you know may be interested in RVing.
And thank you to all of you that do watch our videos. We really appreciate it. We love the comments. We respond to every single comment that we get, and we do really appreciate the feedback. So we thank you and we appreciate you, and that's it.
With that, it's time to stop simply existing in life and start experiencing it. Locked In with the Wilsons out.